Good afternoon, New Orleans. Good afternoon, Louisiana. To everyone else, it is Bayou Bets for Thursday, December the 8th. Zach Ewing with Jim Derry and Spencer the Guru. Lots to talk about. I hope everyone's recovered from Monday night. I'm sure they're not. But
I meant to bring Fireball, and I was in a rush coming into the studio, so I forgot. I am just been hoping, and I've actually, usually I say a nighttime prayer when I go to bed for my wife and kids. This week I said a wife and prayer that you don't get diphtheria. I hope you're not
appreciate
sick.
that.
I hope you're not
Well,
sick from
that
drinking out
is
of the dunce cap.
that is actually appropriate because today's beer's got a cross on it. Irish Channel Stout.
Perfect.
I got another beer. Okay.
From the New Orleans Lager and Ale Brewing Company. This is a 6.8 ABV. It's going to kill all the diphtheria germs. So
I doubt it.
We're good to go. Look, I'm even going to wipe off the lip of it with my shirt.
Oh, because that's cleanliness is next to godliness.
Is next to alcoholness.
Is next to having to go to the ER.
It's an Irish stout. It's good. Pour one out for the Saints, though. Look, 17-16 loss to the Bucs. That, I mean, really just, I don't think anyone is going to argue, as much as Jim likes to argue. Just there was 10 things that the Saints could have done. If they do any of those 10 things, they win that game, and they screwed them all up.
That's it, 10? I said 24.
I'm being generous.
24 in Datitude the other day, but okay, I'll give you 10.
That's coming, Nick.
Can't wait till we talk about the DA chances.
Yeah, well, let's start there. I mean, I think that's what everybody wants to talk about in New Orleans. There's college football's kind of taken the week off outside of Army Navy, which of course we'll talk about as well. Jerry's here.
Hello, Jerry.
Nick says there were 22 things exactly the Saints could have done differently to win that game. I mean, you may be right about that.
22.3.
I actually don't see what you did there.
Neither do I.
We're a little slow, Nick. You're going to have to clue us in on that. Look, Dennis Allen.
Isn't that Mark Ingram's number?
Low blow. But that was the big one. Mark Ingram ducking out of bounds half a yard before the sticks instead of half a yard after the sticks. Probably win the game if he doesn't do that. Okay, so look, Dennis Allen is 4-9. We talk about this every week. I've actually defended the guy more, I think, than y'all two have, just simply because a lot of the things have been, look, a double doink against Minnesota. Mark Ingram fumbles the first time against Tampa Bay. You can't, there's some bad breaks, right? And there have been some bad breaks. But at some point when you're 4-9 and the bad breaks keep coming, somebody's got to take the fall.
How about when it's 3rd and 1 and your offensive coordinator calls a pass, you're on the headset and you say, "We ain't doing that." How about that?
Yeah.
Hello, Horace.
I like it.
I mean, that's all you need to really say. I mean, to me, that's kind of encapsulates the entire Saints season. Get on the head. I mean, I know he's a nice guy, but get on the headset. You're on the headset and say, "We're not doing that. Don't throw the ball. Run the ball. Where's Taysom?" I mean, how many times should a head coach have to say, "Where's Taysom? Give the ball."
You can call timeout if you need to. Timeout. Let's talk about this.
Call timeout.
Let the play clock run down. Call timeout. Let's talk about what exactly we want to do here. Because if we're going to throw, we damn well better complete the pass.
And then when it looks like Tampa Bay's going to score, when it looks like Tampa Bay's going to score at the end, and there are 30 seconds left, and the clock's running, there's 30 seconds left. He calls timeout, but he waits to do it till there are 17 seconds left. You can't mismanage a clock more than that. So obviously your chances are slim anyway. But you went from having a 3.5% chance to win if they score to having a 0.01% chance to win if they score by wasting those 13 seconds.
And Tampa Bay had plenty of time at that point. So
100%. They weren't rushing at that point anymore. They knew
it wasn't going to be. In fact, Tampa Bay ended the game with a timeout still in hand. So
and if you run the football the 2 other times they had 3rd down, you either force them to burn 2 timeouts, which they're not going to do that early, or you run an extra minute and a half off the clock, and it's a completely different ball game.
Yeah, either way, that's huge. 2 questions, guys, and Spencer, start with you. Two questions. 1, if you are Mickey Loomis, would you fire Dennis Allen? And 2, do you think the real Mickey Loomis actually does fire Dennis Allen?
Yeah, well, I mean, if I'm Mickey Loomis, I'm red hot. I'd have fired him on Tuesday, but I'm not. I mean, I'm not the GM, and I'd be too hot headed. But if I was, but what I think is going to happen. This is my take on it. The reality of the situation. Mickey Loomis definitely going to give him through the season. Mickey Loomis is not the kind of guy to want to fire someone mid-season or even toward the end. I definitely think he gives him these last 4, but how he performs in these last 4 could determine if his job's safe or not. Because I feel like if the team completely flounders and just quits, at that point he's got to get fired. I feel like if he can fire him up, because I mean they're still technically in it. I mean they have no chance basically, but if he fires them
1% chance, sure, 1% chance.
Yeah. If he fires them up enough to where they win 2 or 3 of the last 4, he'll probably save his job. But if they go like 1-3 or 0-4, he's gonna get fired.
Would you like to expand on that, Jim?
There is a 0.01% chance Dennis Allen gets fired. He's not going to get fired. I mean, now I think there's a 50 to 60% chance that there's a major shakeup in his coaching staff, maybe a little more than that. I think that Pete Carmichael is going to resign. He didn't want this job to begin with. I think he knows he's in over his head. And so to that regard, I mean, I've been super hard on Pete Carmichael. I mean, I've called him Sean Payton's little clipboard holder because that's what he is. I mean, and I say that in different ways. I mean, part to be humorous and part because it's reality. But he knows he wasn't ready for that job. So I wish he would have stuck to his guns and said, they talked him into taking that job. So I think he's going to resign.
Nobody else prepared.
They didn't. They didn't have anyone else ready. And they wanted as close to status quo as they could. But what they fail to realize is without the man in charge, status quo doesn't mean jack. I mean, but I think Dennis Allen, all the bad things that I've said about him, I think he still has a chance to be semi-capable. I don't even know how to put it. But what I would do and what Mickey Loomis is going to do are two completely different things.
That's why I framed it as 2 questions. Because
Mickey Loomis is not going to fire Dennis Allen. I think even if they go 4-13, unless they just like lose the last 4 games with like 20-something of the points and completely don't show up, I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's a good chance they go 4-13. Although I think he could be by the time they play Carolina. I mean, who knows? And I know fans want him to go. I just don't think he's going to go. I just don't think it's going to happen. So Saints fans need to prepare that Dennis Allen is the coach again next year. I don't see this team making a rash decision. It has been a long, long, long time since the Saints have not given a football coach at least 2 years. I want to say the last time that they even gave a coach only 2 years was Hank Stram, and that was when John Meekum was the owner. So this is not a kind of team that overreacts. It's not an ownership group. It's not a general managership group that overreacts. They're not going to overreact.
Yeah, a couple of things. One is if you fire a coach after 1 year, it becomes a little bit harder. At least the conventional wisdom is to attract new coaches because they're going to look at the roster and say, well, if I go 6-11, am I going to get canned also? Yeah. I want a little more leash than that. And so I think from that perspective, maybe you give them another year. The other part of that is, look, the Saints roster, their salary cap situation is extremely tenuous. They have no first round pick.
That's being nice.
And so if you look at this as a situation that's going to have to be torn down at some point, maybe now's the time. Maybe you tear it down now. I'm not saying you tank 2023, but if you end up losing a bunch of games in 2023 with Dennis Allen, then you have, okay, we're going to start over with a new coach in 2024. And guess what? We're getting a top 10 pick as well. So I think there's something there. I actually do think the last 4 games matter to a certain extent, just because of what you said, Jim. If they quit, if they go 0-4 or sneak out 1 win against Atlanta with, starting in Desmond Ritter's first career start, and then get blown out 3 times, I think that could move the needle. One thing you got to say about Dennis Allen, though, is this team has not quit on him. They're playing hard. That's why they had a chance to beat San Francisco. That's why they had a lead against Tampa Bay. Like, the team has not quit. You could say Alvin Kamara has got something going on, as you've said, Jim. But I think, generally speaking, this team is playing hard still. And so I do think they'll win a couple games.
But here's the thing, Zach, though. Every team has their okay, it's over moment, right?
Their breaking point, yeah.
And that's what this was. So, I mean, I don't think anyone knows how they're going to react going forward. They haven't quit. I agree with you. And mark that down, Zoe. I agree with Zach. They haven't quit. But at the same time, what does that mean going forward? But now that they know they're out of it, I mean, they knew they were still in it up to now. I agree they played super hard against San Francisco, and really the Alvin Kamara mistakes, they have a chance to win that game. I mean, but his refusal to make any real changes throughout the season, and his stubbornness per se, and I'm not just talking about Andy Dalton. I mean,
Andy Dalton's actually played.
Andy Dalton played well Monday night.
Yeah, he played well Monday night, and he hasn't had a bad game other than Arizona.
No. He played well Monday night. He played his best game against Monday night. He played well against Minnesota. Those are the two games I think he played well. Other than that, he's been a whole lot of nothing. And I've said it 1,000 times. This team needed to gamble starting 8 or 10 weeks ago. We don't know what would have happened 8 or 10 weeks ago had they made a change. But I blame nothing on Monday night on Andy Dalton. I thought he played very good, very well. But the fact that he's not willing to make changes and just thinking status quo is going to get you over a hump, even if they won that game, so what? I mean, and that's why, you go through and you look at the NFC South odds now. I mean, you could book it. I mean, it's over. I mean, no one else is winning this. Don't waste $1 on anyone else. It's over. I mean, Tampa Bay, I think they're going to lose this week, but so what? They might lose next week. So what? They'll be 6-8. So what?
It ended when Rachaad White broke the goal line. I mean, that's
100%.
Yeah.
The Saints were really the only team that had a chance to win the division. Looking at it now.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what Atlanta did today. I mean, they pulled the plug. I mean, they're going with the rookie. Carolina pulled the plug before the freaking trade deadline, traded CMC. So, yeah, the Saints, that was it on Monday night. And so that was the straw that broke the camel's back, to where now it's like the entire division's in rebuild mode.
And you got to feel a little bit for the Cowboys, right? Like, they're going to be 13-4, 14-3, and be on the road in the first round of the playoffs against Tom Brady. They'll probably win, but that's still a tougher assignment than you'd like.
Yeah, if things were done geographically, the Cowboys would be in the NFC South and the Panthers would be in the NFC East. So the Cowboys are like,
no, you can't do that. That's a whole different. That's a show for the spring and the summer. But you can't do that.
Oh yeah, no, I know that.
I'm not saying
they're not going to do that. There's no way. I'm just saying if things were done geographically, those would be the divisions.
But you're watching Bayou Bets on bet.nola.com. We're brought to you by Caesar Sportsbook. Talking a little Saints, $1,250 back to you, up to $1,250 back to you as a free bet. If you lose your first bet, for new users, go to NOLA.com/Caesars to sign up, or go to LSUposter.com if you'd like LSU posters. And so with that, let's pivot. Let's move on a little bit. Tonight's game, Raiders-Rams. Speaking of teams that are kind of broken, the LA Rams, of course, they have a Super Bowl banner to show for it, but no Matthew Stafford, no Cooper Kupp, no Aaron Donald. Almost won last week against Seattle anyway, but now in a short week they play the Raiders, who are on a 3-game winning streak. Any support for the dog in this room?
Oh, 100%. I'm beyond. In fact, it was almost the best bet. That's way too many. The Raiders don't deserve giving anyone, and I mean anyone, 6.5 points. They're not good. I don't care that they beat Seattle, Denver, and the Chargers. It makes no difference to me. They're not good. I know the Rams aren't good either, and I know Aaron Donald isn't playing. But I tell you, if Baker Mayfield gets in there as bad as he is, a guy that's going to be fighting for a chance to stay in the NFL, I think you're going to see a different kind of Baker Mayfield. And I'm not saying the Rams win, although I certainly think they can. But the Raiders, I mean, I really like the over in this game, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the Raiders have allowed just one team in the NFL, and that was the offensively challenged Denver Broncos, to score fewer than 20 points in a game. So the Rams are going to score 20 points. And I'm not sure the Raiders can score 27 points against this Rams defense, even a banged-up Rams defense. That's still a decent defense. So I love the Rams here. It is our best. It is our daily best bet of the day. And not only that, Aunt Mabel and every single one of our friends, there isn't a single average bettor who doesn't do research that is not going to bet on the Raiders here. Not a single person. Oh, the Rams stink. They don't care about last week. Aunt Mabel and all of her friends are going to be all over the Raiders here. If you ever wanted to fade the public game, this is it.
Guru?
I'm on the other side. You can call me Mabel all you want, but
the
Rams have nothing. The Rams have nothing. What do the Rams have?
That's between you guys. That's private.
Anything. I mean, they have nothing.
They don't have that. They're still an NFL team.
Trash. Their defense that doesn't have Aaron Donald anymore. Jalen Ramsey is cooked. Devontae Adams is gonna have a field day going against him. I do like the over. I'm with you on that, Jim. I do like the over in this. I think the Rams do strike a couple touchdowns against the Raiders. Not so great defense, but I think the Raiders offense is just gonna go off in this one because they got a good running game, a solid passing game, and the Rams are gonna have no answers. Their defense is now in almost as bad a shape as their offense. And if it is Baker Mayfield, how is he gonna know the plays? How is he gonna be able to do anything hardly? I mean, Cam Akers might bust a big run or two, but expecting Baker Mayfield to be able to do anything, I mean, that's I just don't see it.
Well, most specifically, Zach, I like the Rams over, which is 19.5. You can't get that everywhere, but I know it was on BetMGM is also our second top play of the day. So I like the Rams over 19.5. Again, that magic number of 20 where the Raiders have only held one opponent all season to 20 points. So I'm probably more on that than the overall over. But I think they're going to show up. I like what I've seen from this Rams team last week. You had the defensive guys, Bobby Wagner and company, let's go. Looking a lot.
Division game.
Bobby Wagner against the Seahawks revenge game.
They're not going to be fired up for this. A short week. I think they're going to fall flat on their face.
I'm a little torn. I think it's a tough game because of the Baker Mayfield factor to bet. And I actually think that the NFL, I was going to move to college, but let's talk real quick. I mean, the NFL in general this week has some just tough lines. I don't know if you agree with that, tough. Jim, but I think there's a lot of lines that are tough to read this week.
I don't like 3.5 as it is, but although I did take one in my best bets. By the way, you might want to. I know you did some of these slides earlier. I think the Titans are 3.5 now.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But
this is as it says at the bottom at 11 a.m.
Right. So, but yeah, there are some weird lines this week, but there are some things that I definitely was able to pluck out from my best bets that I really like. I actually like my best bets this week. I didn't do very well last week. I had a couple off weeks the past few weeks mixed in with a really good one. But I really like this lineup that I have this week. So there are some things to pluck out. I actually like when you have weird spreads because that's when you can find, to me, sometimes the best values.
Let's talk for just a minute about the one everyone else has talked about. The 10-2 Vikings are underdogs against the 5-7 Detroit Lions, which okay, it's a trap or it's this or it's that. Really what it's reflective of is that the Las Vegas sees the Detroit Lions as basically even with the Minnesota Vikings despite the record.
And so do all
which
the
is
Sharps.
Surprising to people. Yeah.
The Sharps have the Vikings and Lions the same team. And there's only so much you can do and disregard records, okay? You cannot disregard records when they're 5 games apart. I mean, the Vikings clinch the division this week if they win. And actually, the magic number is 1. So even if they don't win it this week, any loss by the Lions down the stretch or any win by the Vikings down the stretch, the Vikings are going to win the NFC North. So that's going to happen. Almost said NFC Central, living in the past. I have a stat. I know, and I am old.
The NFC Central that included the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's right.
Talk about geography. Yeah,
20 years ago. But here's my stat of the day for you, and I couldn't believe this. It took me a half an hour to look this up because I kept going back year. Couldn't believe how long it took to go back. I figured I'd find one somewhere. The Detroit Lions, in their history, they've been keeping point spread since 1952. In their history, they have only been favored over a 10-win team. That means the team had 10 wins at the time they played them. Twice in their history. In 2002 against 2012 against the Packers, when Matt Flynn lit them up for 480 yards and 6 touchdowns. And the Packers had already clinched the NFC North and clinched the number 1 overall seed. The other time they did it, 1969 against the Los Angeles Rams, when the Rams had already clinched the NFL's Central Division. So,
no, Coastal Division.
Coastal. What did I say? Central? I meant to say Coastal. So twice, and the only 2 times they've ever done it in the regular season were against teams that had clinched a division. So going back to 1952, 70 years ago, They have never, ever in their history been favored over a team that had 10 wins that hadn't already clinched the division.
So, 1969. Were you of drinking age by then?
I was drinking formula. Did they have? I guess they didn't have formula back then. I was drinking, I don't know, probably milk.
All right. Well, so what you're saying?
Whatever my mother put in my bottle, I was drinking. So that could explain a lot.
What you're saying? Like when you're teething, she put some whiskey in there. Like that was the old school way of doing it. Yeah.
There's zero.
So what you're saying is that the Vegas point spread should matter less than the actual results on the field. I just want to get this straight.
Oh, here we go again.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that my analysis in this particular game, I'm just pointing out a fact, but I would not and you'll see in my best bets, there is a way to take the Vikings without giving 85% of the time when I see a spread that makes 0 sense, and this spread makes 0 sense. There is no way that the Lions should be favored over the Vikings. I don't care if they play at home, on Mars, or in a spaceship. There is no way that they should be favored. So there's a way to play it, but 85% of the time I would take the line that makes no sense. You cannot take the lines here. I'm sorry. If you want to take the Vikings and be with Mabel, and that's great, because you will be with Mabel, but you simply cannot bet on the Detroit Lions in this spot. You can't.
I mean, I will say this, that there is 0 chance that line hits 3. In fact, it was at 2.5. It's back to 2.
No, it's not.
There's no way they're going to let it hit 3, because then all of a sudden
I don't think it's going back up. I think it'll be 1 at game time, to be honest.
So anyway, Jim Derry thinks that the games played on the field should matter more than a prospective point spread. So let's go ahead and talk CFP.
Oh, for God's sake. Hold on. Somewhere around here, I've got some alcohol. I don't know where.
Yeah, you better drink it, because I set you up and knocked you down on that one.
No.
All right. TCU is in the CFP semifinals because of what they did on the field, ladies and gentlemen.
Why are we talking about this today, by the way? You're just trying to.
It's coming.
You're just trying to stir.
December 31st. Well, that's what I do. As James Carville said on Cashing In with Carville this morning, he is a provocateur. I can't even say that word, but I like to provoke people.
Spell it.
No. Let me Google it first. Okay, Michigan at this, and so actually the funny thing is here, as we, at least I admit it, as we go, as we're now about 3 weeks away from the CFP semifinals, or 3 weeks from Saturday, the money's actually coming in on TCU. It was this game was 9.5. It's now down to 7.5 on Michigan.
Yippee-ki-yay!
I'm actually surprised by that, because the Sharps have been against TCU all year long. So I don't know what you make of that.
I don't know, Spencer. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I don't think the Sharps really like Michigan all that much either, because the Big Ten hadn't been that strong this year, and that Ohio State win, there's a lot of coaching gaffes on Ohio State's part to where, Michigan and Blake Corum's done. So I kind of like TCU in this spot, as long as the line doesn't go if you're giving me 7, anything 7 or above, plus 7.5.
I don't think it'll touch 7. Yeah, I would be surprised.
Right? Yeah, I think at this point, I'd probably take the points with TCU, because I just don't see Michigan going and blowing the doors off them. I know some people are kind of thinking that, but J.J. McCarthy, without Blake Corum, I don't see them just going in there and rolling over TCU. Because TCU, they have fight in them. I know they fell short in that Big 12 title game, but their quarterback's solid. Their offense, I think, will be able to bust some big plays. And, you can yawn all you want, but that's going to be a fun game. The Michigan and TCU.
It's going to be the Who Cares Bowl. The winner of the Georgia-Ohio State's going to win the national championship, but I don't even care. I guess I take it back. I do care. I will be. I don't know what my pick's going to be yet, because I'm going to consort with Uncle Big Nick. I'm not. You cheat. I'm not. I'll be open and honest. When it comes to college, I consort with Uncle Big Nick because he knows college better than I do. But I will say this: I know what I'll be rooting for. I'll be rooting for Michigan to blow the doors off of TCU, so I can come in here and just prove how wrong you are. Because if Michigan shouldn't blow the doors off of anyone that's any good.
They blew the doors off Ohio State.
That was a fourth quarter collapse. I'm talking about for an entire game. I'm talking about I want them to be winning 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, 28-0 at the end of the second quarter. And you know that Harbaugh is not going to let his foot off the gas if that's the case. I hope they win this game 56-12.
All right, hold on.
It's possible.
And It is well, no, Michigan, I don't think they're going to score 56 points on anybody, but TCU needs its honor defended just a little bit here because I don't know if they're going to win the game, but they deserve to be there. I'm going to bring in Gabe Henderson. He crunched some numbers to talk about the CFP schedule and bracket. Gabe, what you got?
I just, I'm someone who's admittedly said that TCU is not one of the 4 best teams in the country. But here's the thing. They kept winning, and winning matters. Their best win is better than anything Ohio State did. Their best win is better than anything that Alabama did. TCU has 1 loss on the season, and it was by a foot. So I just think they deserve to be here whether or not they get killed. Here's the thing with the college football playoff. The number 4 team, or I guess in this case, one of the 4 teams, gets slaughtered no matter what. Every single year we've seen it just about. It happens all the time. It almost wants me to say bring back the BCS, but I'm still mad at 2011 as an LSU fan. Alabama shouldn't have been there in 2011. They shouldn't be here, and thank goodness they weren't.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Look, I think the 12-team playoff is going to solve a lot of this stuff. I really do because the conference champions, the top 6 conference champions, automatically get in. Get 6 at-large teams. Nobody who has a chance at winning the thing is going to get left out at that point. So, I mean, to a certain extent, this is an argument that will end in a couple of years, and that's good.
No, won't.
But I think Gabe said it. Like TCU, look, Alabama's best win was Texas. TCU also beat Texas. TCU also beat Kansas State the first time they played. So I don't know how you can look at what Alabama did and say they had a better season.
Here's what I can look at. The SEC versus the Big 12. I mean, come on. They go week after week after week after week after week without playing anyone. They play what, 2 real games a year?
Texas almost beat Alabama.
Oh,
well, yeah, that's not fair.
Almost could have done whatever.
Because what you're doing, Jim, is you're saying, okay, conference strength. All right, the SEC was stronger, yes. But that's including Georgia. Alabama didn't have to play Georgia. Alabama played Vandy. Alabama played Auburn. Alabama played Texas A&M. These teams
Auburn would beat
good.
TCU.
Here's the thing.
Oh, get out of here.
That's
oh
crazy.
My God.
Here's the thing. Alabama. You want to talk about the spread and all that? Alabama.
Did I say one word about the spread that I gave?
No. But you're talking. I heard you talk it before. Alabama was 5-6-1 against the spread with the push against Auburn. They covered the spread against one team with a winning record, and that was Mississippi State.
And
I just don't think they're a very good football team. They had, I think, 4 wins with against teams with winning records.
The perception of Alabama is this. They're not the Alabama that we've seen the past few years. That's the only difference. They're still the 4th best team in the country. I mean,
they're not, though. That's the
no,
thing.
they are.
Nothing they've done this year has shown us
they may be, but it doesn't matter. That's like saying
it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Baylor
matter.
was one of the 4 best basketball teams in the country last year, but they lost in the tournament, so they didn't get to go to the Final Four. That's how it works.
Well, here's the
there
thing.
has to be a reward and punishment for what happens in the field of play.
Jim, why do you think they're one of the 4 best teams in the country?
Because I've watched them all year long, and I can tell you that they were, first of all, they were one Mason Taylor wrong turn away from being a 1-loss team and being in the SEC championship game. And if they go to the SEC championship game and keep it close, they're in. They're in. They could be a 2-loss team and go to the championship game and lose, and they're in. So Zach likes to talk about TCU, and they were this play away from being undefeated. And this, you can go through the course of anybody's season at any time. And I'm sorry about my lighting. My backlight went off, which is why it looks so bad right now. But you could go through their season and TCU.
But who did Alabama beat? They didn't beat anybody.
They beat Texas by 1 point.
Well, everybody thought Ole Miss was great, and
everybody thought
they blew the doors off of Mississippi State. Thought they were great. They lost by 3 to Tennessee at the time. When they lost by 3 to Tennessee.
I'm not talking about losses. I asked who they beat.
No. I'm talking about what you would like to talk about the encapsulation of the entire season. When they lost by 3 to Tennessee, everyone, and I mean everyone, on this show and almost everywhere I heard, Tennessee was the best team in the nation. So, I mean,
I didn't say that.
I don't think anyone said that.
Oh, come on.
Tennessee
Go back and rewind the tape.
Is atrocious.
Rewind the tape. You said it, Zach, for sure. Gabe, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for you because you weren't.
I never said Tennessee was the best team in the nation.
I'm going to go find it.
I picked Georgia to beat Tennessee.
That doesn't mean that you didn't think Tennessee at that time on October the 15th was the best team in the country.
You're saying that after they beat Alabama, I would have changed my mind?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. You guys twist words any way you want. Go ahead, Zoe.
Yeah, let's always go.
As someone who has seen too many episodes of Bayou Bets since, let's call it August something, and have taken notes, I don't believe Zach said that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you. Appreciate it.
I do.
I was high on Tennessee all year. I said I loved their over 8.5 wins or whatever it was, I did not say they were the best team in the country.
You did, and Tennessee crashed.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Do you think that you would have thought they were the second best team in the country?
No, I wouldn't have said that either. Maybe fifth.
Who?
I'll admit it. I'll drink the Kool-Aid. I drank the Tennessee Kool-Aid. It's probably me you're thinking of.
Look.
But at the time, I thought they had turned a corner. I thought they had. I thought beating Bama was a sign that it was their year. But then Georgia exposed them, and then that was that. And then Hooker got hurt.
South Carolina really exposed them.
Well, not only that, you go through their schedule. I mean, and again, you can look at anything at the end of the season and say, okay, that wasn't that great of a win. I'm talking about when they play teams and what that team was, because a loss can change everything for a team. You know that as well as I do. I mean, you talk about the Arkansas loss did to Texas A&M. To me, the Arkansas loss to Texas A&M, the Arkansas win over Texas A&M killed them.
No, Texas A&M won. That's
what
game,
I'm the other way. Yeah. That changed the entire season. They won on that fluky play at the end. So losses matter, but they changed the course of a season. I'm just saying that, we wouldn't be having this conversation had LSU not turned the right way and LSU went.
Well, yeah,
we wouldn't be having this conversation if Quinn Ewers didn't get hurt.
But those moments should matter. That's what I'm saying, Jim. Is like Mason Taylor.
The referees didn't call.
Run out of time, please.
Yeah, you have to make those moments matter. LSU did do that, and so that the result does matter, and so Alabama gets out. All right, we need to move on. Army-Navy this weekend is the only college game. This game opened as a pick'em. It got kind of an interesting line movement here for a game. Look at the total. It's only 32.5. So a movement of 2.5 points, even though it hasn't hit that Rubicon of 3, is not going really significant in this game.
That game's not going to 3. I think that everybody's going to be – I hate to keep saying everybody. I think the large majority of people betting are going to take Army because of some of the things they saw. And here goes that under again. I'm more interested in the over-under. I think this is the year that it finally goes over, right? 32.5. What about this, Zach? I got an interesting proposition for you. I don't like taking teasers that don't go through certain numbers, and I rarely ever take teasers that involve totals. But don't you think opening a teaser with the over 26.5 is a good bet, and then leaving it open and trying to figure out what to do with it Sunday?
Maybe. 13-10. Could it happen? Could you?
Could. It could. But I like Navy in this game. I think Navy's going to win. I think Navy gets to 20, 24 points.
Yeah, if they get. If one of these teams gets to 20, they're going to win the game, I think. But I like Navy as well. They played a better schedule. Last year's game was 17-13.
Yeah, and the year before that was 32.
Yeah, the year before that was 15-0 Army. That was the COVID year. That was actually at West Point. Last time they played in Philadelphia was 2019. Navy won 31-7. That's the highest scoring game we've seen in 6 years in this game, was that 31-7. So, yeah, I think if you go up to 26.5 over, you're probably safe. But I don't. Honestly, if you go up to 38.5 and bet the under, I don't know if these teams get to high 30s.
I think this is it. I think this is the first over game. Uncle Big Nick, we talked about it off the air. Well, he's not on the air now, but we were talking about it earlier today. And 16 in a row, I think we both think this is the one that goes over. But it's hard to bet. It's hard, and I say it all the time, it's hard to bet against a trend of 3 or 4 or more, especially when it's 16. So I'm not saying I'm going to go break the bank, but I might just for funsies, I might go put a couple bucks in the over.
Yeah, but this is also one of those things where because of that, they're shrinking that total down because they know people will bet with the trend. So maybe and
the fact that it's the only game Saturday, right? So there's going to be way more action in this game than there ever would be in any other way. And actually,
absolutely.
There was a lot of CBS did a great job being smart and putting this game. It used to be the same weekend as the championship games, and they finally moved it to the week after the championship games, and that's really smart.
By the way, the other thing Saturday in the college football world is the Heisman Trophy. You can't even bet on it anymore. Caleb Williams basically has it locked up. USC quarterback going to win the Heisman. So as Uncle Big Nick says, the unders hit the last 16 games in Army Navy, but it would have been 9-7 if it was set this low. So they've adjusted for that trend, I think. Keith says New Orleans Saints need a whole new team and new coach. Good luck with. It's hard to turn over the whole team. Yeah, it's hard to turn over the whole team.
Now with Mickey Loomis, status quo Mickey. He ain't.
Yeah.
Status quo Saints.
It worked for a long time. But it may be time to blow it up soon.
Look how long they stuck. And I know you guys are younger than me, but look how long they stuck with Jim Haslett. I mean, they stuck with Jim Haslett. I mean, he had like 3 or 4 8-8 / 7-9 seasons in a row before they finally canned, and they had to after the Katrina season. And they went 3-13. They had no choice with the cannon then. But had Jim Haslett gone 8-8 in 2005 and Katrina didn't happen, you might never saw Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Might never have happened.
Well, so it's the little things sometimes that make a difference. Speaking of line movements, LSU opened, I think, 5.5 in this game, and it's up to 10.5. I don't know. This is one of those things with bowl games. You got to look at opt-outs and who's going to play. But I do like LSU in this spot. All of a sudden, we're asking about laying a lot of points.
Do we know if Jaden Daniels is going to play?
I haven't heard anything
yesterday,
else.
Everything I was reading and hearing saying that he needs some time off for sure. So I don't even know when he's going to go back to practice. He's not practicing right now.
Yeah, I kind of think they go with Nuss. I mean, he looked pretty good against Georgia and Jaden. If it just make sure that ankle heals up, I have a feeling he's not going to play.
I mean, you say he's not, but have they even practiced yet? Because you only get 15 bowl practices, and they got a whole month to go.
Well, from what I was reading yesterday, is like he's not even he's at least a week away from being able to do anything. Like he's having trouble walking right now.
And that game not till January 2nd, so it could change. But yeah, it's worth a look. I don't think you can bet on it at a double-digit spread. But obviously, a lot of people like LSU.
I think what helped out was Kayshon Boutte announcing that he was returning. I think that's a big help because if he was entering the draft, I don't think there's any way he'd have played in that game. But now that he's coming back, that I think I remember when they made that announcement, I was like, I bet that line moved. And I think it was 8.5 when he announced it. It was up to 8.5, and then now it's 10.5.
Yeah, and I did a quick search before the show, and I couldn't find any headlines that Purdue has had a lot of players out. Doesn't mean they don't, but I just haven't seen. I mean, every team is going to have some opt-outs. Gabe says he's taking LSU minus 10.5 because Purdue sucks.
Well, I will say this, that there's some college football guys that I listen to quite often, who and rightfully so. It's not like before. There's only one college game that I bet on early. A lot of times I will bet certain bowl games early because I don't want the spread to move the other way. I just you can't this year. And for the next couple of weeks, it's hard to tell who's going to enter transfer portals, who's going to say, what if a quarterback says, I'm not playing, and the other seniors say, or the other guys who are close to draft eligible, I'm not playing either if he's not playing, and then stuff happens. I mean, to me, all these college bowl games are kind of things you bet either the day of or the day before. I don't know that you can really bet college games this early.
Well, you bet the Tulane game.
I did, and I would bet that any day in Christmas. That's the only one I bet. I don't care.
USC only a 1.5 point favorite.
I don't care if their entire starting team doesn't play.
It has
no way
to matter.
Caleb Williams is playing.
Caleb Williams
is not playing.
Yeah,
he is the truth, and I don't think he will play, which changes that a lot. He'll accept his trophy on Saturday night, and then we'll see. You're watching Bayou Bets on bet.NOLA.com. We're brought to you by Caesar Sportsbook. I think we'd be remiss, guys, if we did not mention the top team in the Western Conference in the NBA standings, and that is the New Orleans Pelicans, who play the number 2 team just half a game behind them, the Suns, twice this weekend at Smoothie King Center. Real interesting stuff. No Brandon Ingram, no Herb Jones. Yeah, and then they play them again, you see, in a week. 3 of their 4 meetings are here within the span of a week.
Yeah, that's a strange way to do the schedule.
I don't get that at all. And then Jazz twice in a row. I mean, what are they trying to do? Making little mini playoffs during the season?
I don't know, but I mean, if you look at this schedule, very difficult upcoming schedule for the Pelicans. There's not a single gimme game in there. They have taken advantage the last couple weeks of a weaker schedule. But, I think if you're the Pelicans, I don't know that getting the number 1 seed is sure you could, but I don't think it's super likely.
Top 4, you want top 4.
Yeah, if you want to get top 4 and get that first round at home, or home court advantage, that would be the goal at this point. But still 22-1 to win the NBA title. Still plus 155 just to win the Southwest Division.
I bet that a long time ago.
Yeah,
and you probably got much better odds.
Yeah, 35-1.
Yeah, I missed the boat there. I could have gotten better value, but there's still some value now. The value is not totally gone at this point.
It worries me that Brandon Ingram has been out for as long as he's been out, though.
Tell you what, man, toe injuries.
They really are. I mean, it's kind of like any arm injury in baseball on your pitching arm. When I see that, when I'm going to draft, even if they say he's going to play, I do the same thing in baseball when I'm making my lineup, trying to figure out who I'm going to draft. I don't touch a pitcher that has any kind of, even if they say it's no big deal, I stay away from that. I mean, even
basketball
and football,
if they have a tightness is ominous.
If they have a toe injury in basketball, football, staying away from them. And it's obviously lingering for a Brandon Ingram. And we've talked about, I know that this is a touchy subject with some people, but you got to wonder about that training staff and toe injuries. It's not a coincidence that those things linger, especially with this staff that has their issues, obviously. Just saying.
Yeah. Got to wonder. We're going to finish the show with our picks. First of all, a couple other news items to get through. World Cup resumes tomorrow with the quarterfinals. Brazil, the favorite. France second favorite. Really, I think that big change is because France got to play England on Saturday, and so that's why they've got to get through that one before those odds will drop back down. But could be interesting. I got my eyes on Portugal, guys. Portugal at 6-1.
I got to give you props, Zach Ewing.
Yeah, why?
I got to give you props because I made fun of you for the whole soccer thing before. My daughter, my 11-year-old daughter, out of the clear blue yesterday. I was watching. I had the Pels game on. She goes, "Daddy, who's better, Ronaldo or Messi?" And I was shocked that she even heard of Ronaldo and Messi. My wife says, "Who the hell is Ronaldo and who the hell is Messi?" But my 11-year-old daughter, so they're talking about soccer at school. So there you go. The kids are into it.
And by the way, the final could be Messi against Ronaldo, Argentina, Portugal, on opposite halves of the bracket. So we could see that. The other thing I wanted to bring up, the winter meetings for this week in baseball, and there's just been a massive amount of signings. But the odds haven't changed that much as we look forward to next year's World Series. The Phillies signed Trey Turner. They're still only the 6th favorite on the board. The Rangers signed Jacob deGrom. They're way down at 50-1. The other active team has been the Padres, signed Xander Bogaerts to add to their lineup. They're 14-1. I think what the market is telling you here is like, hey, these players are nice, but one player doesn't make that big of a difference in baseball.
Yeah, even more so like with football, like the quarterback can kind of swing things and stuff. Or baseball. Yeah, it doesn't change much. Baseball is very much a team game. So one individual doesn't move the needle too much. Like the Astros losing Verlander, they're still the favorites. I mean, it's not a huge deal for them. They've got enough depth there to where, and they also brought in Jose Abreu to bolster their lineup. So yeah, this is, I mean, the winter meetings have been lit. There's been a lot going on, but nothing that's like gonna all of a sudden change anything. It's not like the Astros are gonna fall off because they didn't sign Trey Turner, Bogarts, or whoever. Like they're the top teams are still, and the Dodgers have been real quiet. I've noticed that the Dodgers have not done a whole lot.
Yeah, I wonder if the most significant thing there, Jim, might be the Dodgers are not the favorites because they've been the favorites preseason 5 straight years.
Yeah, but what are they, plus 500? I mean, it's not that it's that far off. So I mean,
it's not. They did lose Trey Turner, so
I think look, and I'm not joking when I say this. I think that the Astros are plus 400 because they're not going to give Mattress Mac any kind of values anymore.
Yeah,
I mean that's the sole reason. So you can't bet on Houston at plus 400. I mean they really should be like plus 700, plus 800, right? But they're refusing to give a guy that's going to bet $10 million on a team any kind of value. So if you want to go bet on them at plus 400, if you like the Astros, you just have to hope they start slow and they go down to like plus 800 or plus 1,000, because a 6-week swoon early in the season means nothing for a team like that. So that's what you have to hope for. But the Cubs at 60 to 1.
It has been 22 years since we. It's been 20. I actually bet the Cubs at 14 to 1 to win their division, and simply because I think the Brewers are either going to trade Burns or Woodruff.
Yeah. I agree.
And I think it's a 2-team race. I think the Cubs will sign somebody, and it'll be a 2-team race between the Cubs and Cardinals. I would pick the Cardinals.
A really good bet.
But if you give me 14 to 1 to win the division, I'm going to take it. I'll take my chances with the Cubs and see if they can have a surprise year. So we'll continue to follow the hot stove.
Spencer. That's a lot of money for a guy like that.
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled about that. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I was like, gave it like a C. It's okay, but it's, I don't know, man. The Cardinals,
way too much for him.
The Cardinals they don't do it. I'll go on a mini Cardinals right here. They just don't go for the big dogs. They never try to spin big for like Trey Turner or Carlos Correa. Or
they got Arenado.
I know, but that was via trade. Then that was also a trade. They never like spin big in free agency, and it's annoying. They always settle for guys like Contreras, but
well, it's like the Mariners, and Gabe said the Mariners are the second best team in the American League, and they should have jump on those odds. Maybe so. I mean, I as a Mariners fan, instead they went and traded for Colton Wong. What's that? Okay, that's nice. He's not going to win a championship.
We got like 220 last year.
All right, Exactly. Let's talk some big bucks picks to wrap up the week. I'll go first since I'm in last place. Unfortunately, even after a good week last week, I'm going a little teaser. I'm going to take the Raiders tonight and the Ravens plus the 8.5. Chalk pick, I got the Bills getting some revenge on the Jets. Underdog Giants, division home dog, take them plus 7 against the Eagles. Panthers, Seahawks. Spencer and I talked about this on the fantasy show. I think that could be a low-key shootout. I'm going over 44. And then my wild card, a little World Cup. I think England has been good so far, but unsustainable finishing when they get in the box. I almost took France plus 140 to win in 90 minutes, but I'm going to take the safe side and just take them to advance.
Yeah, I think I like those picks. I think the Raiders are a little scary, but don't hate it. But I think you got some good choices there. And Zach's having a little trouble.
Okay, he's
Zach's a little frozen, so let's move. I can help move this thing along here. Let's see. I am next, so I'll put my picks up there because I have moved behind Spencer. So I'm next up, and I have my best bet: Patriots 1.5 over the Cardinals. This was a pick'em game, so the sharp money has been coming in on New England. And honestly, one of the main things I talked about in my column this morning or yesterday morning, I should say, is the Patriots, they don't lose 3 in a row very often. And Bill Belichick is going to have his team focused. They know that they have any chance going forward, they have got to win this game. So this is an absolute must-win. I'm taking Bill Belichick in a must-win against a coaching staff that is going nowhere except out the door when the season is over. My chalk game, I talked about, I hate 3.5s, but I don't see how you don't take the Titans. Mike Vrabel is 7-1 against the Jaguars in a get-right spot at home. The Jaguars also Trevor Lawrence is banged up. We don't even know if he's going to play right now. I do not like the Jaguars at all. Every time I pick against them, I usually win. Every time I pick them, I usually lose. So let's pick the Titans here. I'm with Zach on Giants plus 7 and against the Eagles at home. I think that's way too many points. I think the Eagles are due for kind of a stinker. Chiefs Broncos under 43. Look, I think that the Broncos can't score. So do I think the Chiefs, really, to me, as long as the Chiefs don't score like over 30, and I don't think they're gonna against this good defense, why I like the under there. And then my teaser, I already talked about the Vikings. Had to figure out a way to put them in some kind of way. To me, this was the best way to put them in. So plus 9, got Ravens plus 9. This is a 6.5 point teaser, by the way. So it's a 6.5 point teaser. You got to pay a little extra juice. I'm willing to pay a little extra juice to get to that 9 because that 9 number matters. It used to be 7 was really important. Now Spencer, really 8 is almost as important. So that's my teaser of the week, and actually I had the most money on that Vikings and Ravens plus 9
on that one.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, I got the Ravens in my teaser as well. I think it's a good teaser play. But yeah, actually, I got them though at I feel like 8.5. I wasn't as concerned about the 9. I know 9 could be a key number, but I figured like it was 2.5. I took the 6-point teaser. I guess I'll start with that. I took a 6-point teaser here with the Eagles -1 because I feel like the Eagles will win. I don't think they'll cover, though. I'm with you and Zach on that. I don't think they'll cover, but I like them in this teaser. And then the Ravens, I see that being a low score and ugly game. So I definitely feel like they'll be able to come within 8.5. And then for my best bet, it's been red hot. Did you want to give a take?
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, my best bet was Bengals 5.5.
Mabel.
Feel even better about it because it's the Jamar Chase factor. The last time the Browns and Bengals played, there was no Jamar Chase, and that was a huge factor there. It was funny. I watched a video. Jeff Saturday, back when he was still with ESPN, was breaking it down, saying just how important the Jamar Chase factor was. The Browns defense was able to key in on T. Higgins and Joe Mixon, where when Chase is back, it really opens things up. So that's why I like the Bengals here. And the chalk play, I know Gabe brought up the trend about how the Raiders failed to cover in their last 7 road games when favored, but I think this is the night it ends, going with them to cover over the depleted Rams, who have absolutely no talent left. They have quit. They are garbage. That's just my opinion, but we'll see. Vikings, I'm taking the bait with Minnesota. I think they'll at least cover. I think that game's going to be a coin flip, them and Detroit. I don't know who's going to win it, but give me the points. Give me the points of Minnesota. Then my total Chargers, Dolphins. Expect that to be a shootout, Tua versus Herbert.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you spend the weekend at Aunt Mabel's house? I mean, did you eat like fruitcake all weekend long? Did you eat pecan pie? I mean, you are all with Mabel. That Cincinnati game, I understand where you're coming from, and I didn't see that it was 5.5 now. That I almost made this a best bet. I think the Browns are going to win straight up. They just have their number 5 in a row. They won 5 games in a row against Cincinnati.
Last year, but Cincinnati didn't play their starters last year in the second one. So Cincinnati has the division wrapped up.
Take those 2 games out. Take the Halloween. I don't know why you would take the Halloween game out because they clean their clock. But Cleveland, and I think it's as much a Stefanski thing as anything. Kevin Stefanski knows how to beat the Bengals, and I don't know. But I mean, I'm not saying that, you can prove you're on top again, so maybe you're the one that's right. I'm not sure. What is this slide for? Your house money.
The house money parlay. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't done mine yet.
Yeah, basically, I just combined, my big bucks, made the big bucks plays I felt the most confident about and combined them into a parlay here. So I'm sure, as you would call it, Jim, the Mabel special, but there are some public plays. I don't always, I try to just go with what I feel. If the sharps like it, cool. If the public likes it, cool. I try not to worry about sharps versus public. I just go, I do my own research and go with how I feel the games are going to go. I don't really worry too much about where the money's at. I know a lot of bettors do and betting analysts, which I do check it more than I used to. I used to never, ever think to look at that. Now I'll check it every now and then, but I still, for the most part, just go with what I feel is going to happen.
Here's what I do when it comes to that. I don't necessarily always bet against the public, but I will not make a best bet. And I've only done it like twice this year and lost both of them. I will not take a best bet. If I go through my analysis, I don't look at who's betting on whom. I mean, I can kind of guess most of the time. But if I make my best bets with about 7 or 8 of them in there, and if I'm on the side of Mabel, it's not going to my best bets. Again, I bet with the public twice this year in my best bets, and they both lost. So I can't do it. I just can't do it. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the key when you're coming back. I'm not saying, your dad's saying you ate a lot of Christmas cookies on Saturday. I mean, is that true?
That is true. That is true.
All right.
Not denying those allegations.
All right. Well, that is just going to about wrap it up for us. Zach Ewing had a little computer crash there. We are going to, before we go off, let's get our whole crew in here before we say bye-bye. It's been a fun week. Zoe in the background has liked to stir up. She's not even saying anything, but she's still stirring it up, putting social media on there. And and now she's got Gabe against me too. So it could be 5 against 1. It's okay. It's okay. 5 against 1.
No, I was on your side for the whole discussion, Jim. I don't think TCU should be part of that.
There you go. All right, it's 4 against 2. I love it. I don't know who the other one is, but that's okay.
3 against 2. Yeah, I'm with TCU. I think they deserve it.
I'm sure someone else. Oh, okay. There you go. Okay.
I don't think TCU necessarily deserves it. I just don't think Alabama deserves it either.
No, you just. It's okay to say you hate Alabama. It's okay, Gabe.
I do, but I'll take Nick Saban in a one-off game anytime.
No, I mean, a lot of these anti-Alabama things, and I'm going to say Zach isn't. I mean, Zach he's got his little quirky dude things. It is what it is. But most people who don't think Alabama should be in that I've talked to, it's just because, and the first thing they say is, I hate Alabama. Well, good. I hate Alabama too. That doesn't mean I don't think they belong in the show, but that's a whole different show. We're going to talk. We have plenty of time to talk about this some more. Next week, we're going to be talking more about bowls. Obviously, the Saints are back in action next week. They are playing the Atlanta Falcons. We'll get more into LSU and Tulane. We have plenty to talk about next week, so make sure you come back. A Monday afternoon edition of Bayou Bets. Who knows what Zach and I will argue about next? We'll figure it out then. Until then, everybody enjoy your weekend. The Saints can't lose this week, boys and girls. Enjoy it. Have fun. And may all your bets be true.